Fox Business Network studios in New York City, this is Opening Bell.
You eat chicken? Purdue, the nation's third largest chicken producer, announcing it is cutting way back on the use of human antibiotics that it's been giving its chickens. Dr. Ernest Patti is senior attending physician of emergency medicine at St. Barnabas Hospital in the Bronx. Great to have you on this.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks.
Well, this story matters to so many people who are watching right now. What does it mean and how much should it matter that Purdue is saying, you know what? We're nearly eliminating human antibiotics now.
Well, it's a great step forward because, folks feel that this will make the food supply healthier, safer, and better for human consumption.
Well, wasn't it the point to give them human antibiotics? I'm not for it, believe me, so that they would not get diseases that would then not be ingested by humans.
That's true, but remember, when you raise animals in captivity, as opposed to having them in the wild, they're in crowded conditions, in spite of the fact that you try to make them comfortable and let them roam, you create an artificial situation where disease and illness can increase. And then the way that we treated it over the previous years was to give them antibiotics. The problem is when you use too many antibiotics in animals that weren't really designed to have them in the first place, you create a situation where mutations can occur, and these antibiotics that we use for humans as well can become ineffective, and the bacteria that they treat are resistant.
Some people say, forget it, I'm buying organic chicken because I'm not going to give my kids anything that would have that in there. Do you think this now makes them comfortable? Because it isn't we're eliminating it entirely, we're cutting way back. They were not very heavy on it at this point. They were sticking with animal antibiotics. But Jim Purdue, the CEO of Purdue, basically came out and said, you know what, people? We're listening to our customers. We're listening to our consumers. They don't want it. We're getting it out.
Well, it's important. They finally did start listening to the customers, and the customers are the ones that keep these companies in business. So I think it's a great idea that they listen to them. Folks who were using organic products, I'm sure will continue to use organic products. And, the important thing is you have to be an educated consumer. You have to use common sense, and you have to know what you put in your mouth.
Well, exactly. In the end, should all human antibiotics be eliminated from the animal food chain?
Well, I'm not a specialist in microbiology like this, but my feeling from being a practicing physician for over 20 years is that it's important to limit its use, except when, say, there's an outbreak in the animals or certain diseases that they want to prevent from being passed on to humans. They really need to not just willy-nilly throw the antibiotics into the feed and into the water and then that supply. They really need to specifically target when and where they use them.
Then people eat it. They build up resistance. They build up too much tolerance to antibiotics so that when they get really sick, it doesn't work for them anymore when a doctor actually prescribes them. You've seen a lot of that like that.
We see it all the time. People come in and they, ask for Z-Packs all the time.
It doesn't work. Z-Pack has stopped working for a lot of people. I'm not saying Z-Packs don't work.
No.
It's just that for a lot of people who eat quite a bit of this food that already had antibiotics in it, it's become a problem.
I'm sure the links will become clearer as more research gets done.
This Ebola thing, because we just had the Xenex robot, which I found fascinating. It blashes out this light that is 25,000 times stronger than sunlight when it comes to this ultraviolet ray.
Right.
Could eliminate so many other hospital-borne diseases, correct?
From what I read in the small articles that I was reading about it, yes, it sounds like an exciting new science and a good way to cleanse. Remember, the traditional way we disinfect is we use bleaching products or products that contain bleach and harsh chemicals like that. You can't use them in every environment and on every surface and in every application. So new technology like this seems very exciting. And I'm sure that, hospitals are going to take a real close look at it.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, because I know you've probably been asked many, many times. Can somebody with Ebola get on a plane, come to the U.S., and then start spreading it like we saw in the movie Contagion with Gwyneth Paltrow coughing all over the place on buses in Chicago?
I'm sure it's a possibility. I mean, remember back in the 1600s and 1500s, how was disease spread then? Ships. Ships traveled the ocean, and sailors who went brought disease. Airplanes are the new mode of transmission. Without proper vigilance and proper screening, I'm sure it's possible that somebody can get on in the early stages of the disease and possibly spread this. The good news is most of the authorities are alert. and aware of this, and they are trying to screen the people in advance to prevent a situation like this from happening.
We've got the Ebola story, the chicken thing. You are a man of all trades. Jack, doctor of all trades.
Emergency medicine, you have to handle anything that comes in the door.
And I, for one, the daughter of a doctor, am very, very grateful for all you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Liz, for having me.
Ernie Patti. He is, of course, over at St. Barnabas.